All opinions expressed on any program are those of the producer and or persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of DCTV. All producers and guests appearing on programs provide information and opinions based on information they consider to be reliable. DCTV does not affirm the completeness and accuracy. All DCTV members agree to adhere to DCTV's statement of compliance and are participants in a community medium forum where they're exercising their freedom of speech.
Good evening. I'm your host, Karen Hudis. This show is a series that has been coming to you from DCTV since 2015 in a weekly program called the Network of Global Corporate Control. Today's program is called Where We Go One, We Go All. Thank you to DCTV, to Carmen Stanley, Project Director, to Maurice Jackson, Studio Director, and to Crochet Starnes, Audio and Prompter. This title is taken from Black Hill Fairy's reply to one of my tweets. She also said, "We love you. You're my banking rock'em sock'em." I won't tell you everything Black Hill Fairy said, but I am giving you a link to her reply in the teleprompter. Black Hill's Fairy is correct. Where we go one, we go all. The bankers are not so happy about that, but there's nothing that they can do about it. We are in a reality where we know what the bankers and the Black Nobility at the center of the banking cartel have been doing ever since 9200 BC. Of course, since we know about the secret corrupt things the bankers used to do with our paper money, their game is now up. After all of us started working together to expose this corruption, and enough of us caught on to create a critical mass, we are now all working together in a coalition that includes the world's military powers and the wealth of the world that was hidden from us and deposited at the end of World War II in the World Bank and International Monetary Fund. If all of this sounds outlandish, I encourage you to go back through the DCTV archives in YouTube. You can find the archives by clicking on the link in the teleprompter. I'm also going to describe what the bankers do in their own words. Sir Josiah Stamp was president of the Bank of England and the second richest man in Britain in the 1920s. He declared in an address at the University of Texas in 1927, quote, "The modern banking system manufactures money out of nothing. The process is perhaps the most astounding piece of sleight of hand that was ever invented. Banking was conceived in inequity and born in sin. Bankers own the earth. Take it away from them, but leave them the power to create money, and with a flick of a pen, they will create enough money to buy it back again. Take this great power away from them, and all great fortunes like mine will disappear. For then this would be a better and happier world to live in. But if you want to continue to be the slaves of bankers and pay the cost of your own slavery, then let bankers continue to create money and control credit." Robert Hemphill, credit manager of the Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta in the Great Depression, wrote in 1934, quote, "We are completely dependent on the commercial banks. Someone has to borrow every dollar we have in circulation, cash or credit. If the bankers create ample synthetic money, we are prosperous. If not, we starve. We are absolutely without a permanent money system. when one gets a complete grasp of the picture, the tragic absurdity of our hopeless position is almost incredible. But there it is. It's the most important subject intelligent persons can investigate and reflect upon. Grant Towers, governor of the Bank of Canada from 1935 to 1955, acknowledged, quote, "Banks create money. That is what they're for. The manufacturing process to make money consists of making an entry in a book. That is all. Each and every time a bank makes a loan, new bank credit is created, brand new money." Robert Anderson, Secretary of the Treasury under Eisenhower, said in an interview reported in the August 31, 1959 issue of U.S. News and World Report, quote, "When a bank makes a loan, it simply adds to the borrower's deposit account in the bank by the amount of the loan. The money is not taken from anyone else's deposit. It was not previously paid into the bank by anyone. It's new money created by the bank for the use of the borrower." Quote, "If the people only understood the rank injustice of our money and banking system, there would be a revolution before morning." That's what Andrew Jackson said. He was the 7th U.S. president. I first gave you these quotes 3 years ago. All of this information is finally sinking in. A critical mass of humanity is now aware that we need to take the creation of currency away from the bankers, and that is what we're doing. The bankers are fighting back, but it's clear that their shenanigans are now in public view. The reason that things seem to be moving in slow motion is because of extra low-frequency scalar weaponry. Now that we know about this weaponry, it's possible to learn how to resist it and to develop systems to shield yourself from it. In particular, last week, someone sent me a video about a new science called biogeometry that may be useful in combating mind control. Before we have shields, the best defense is to work with a group that can help you realize when you're being messed with. And here's the letter forwarding that video. Dear Karen, hi again. I'll be as brief as I can, so as not to take up your precious time. I'd like to signal something that just recently came into my radar. I'm figuring that you'll be interested being aware of the negative effects of mind control, scalar wave technology, inasmuch as it seems to offer some solutions, even low cost for personal use. I'm referring to biogeometry by Ibrahim Karim. I have just recently stumbled into it and am currently investigating thoroughly. So far, so good. I realize you don't have time to watch lengthy videos, but please just listen to minutes 38 through 34, especially at minute 39. And the link to the video is in the teleprompter, and you find the teleprompter in the very first statement when you go on YouTube on my channel. I hope you can find time to view, if only for your own personal protection. Kindest regards, John. In order to make sense out of what's going on, you need to start seeing the corruption in the world's money and the nefarious role of the bankers and the ruling families behind the corruption. I've been explaining how the international monetary system works. The corrupt families that are trying to hold this system in place have been trying to hide this from you, but I'm getting through and have been getting through for some years. the world's military powers have joined the critical mass of humanity that knows about the corruption in the world's money. There's a large coalition predicted by the United States National War College. Much of what I've said through the years remains in the public domain, despite the guilty party's desperate last-ditch attempts to cover their tracks. People have called us the most interesting program on the media. And I tweeted, the pensions are probably going to be safe during the global currency reset. We are considered, and then I'm telling you again what somebody said about us as being the best program on media. So let's go to the Grand Ole Opry for a spell. And there's a roll-in, I believe.
Thank you very much. For those of you just tuning in, welcome to the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville, Tennessee. It's cold outside, but we got it going in here, ain't it? That's the truth. Big night at the Grand Ole Opry. And I'm the man of the hour. I'm just going to put him on. It's Charlie Daniels' night, and we're all here to help him celebrate. Are you ready, son? Ladies and gentlemen, Charlie Daniels and the Charlie Daniels Band.
Georgia, and he's looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was with a liquor deal. When he came across this young man sewing on a fiddle and playing it hot, the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what. You probably didn't even know it, but I'm a fiddle player too. And if you care to take it there, I'll just make a bet with you. Now, you play pretty good fiddle, boy, but let's give the devil this due. I bet this fiddle is gold against your soul, but think I'm better than you. Boy said, my name's Johnny, and it might be a sin, but I'm gonna take that bet. You go regret, because I'm the best it's ever been. Johnny, rosin up your bow and play your fiddle hard. Cause there's for peace in Georgia, and the devil deals cards. If you win, you get the shiny fiddle made of gold. If you lose, the devil gets your soul. Devil opened up his case and he said, I'll start this show. Fireproof and his fingertips and he rolled up his bow. And then he pulled his bow across the strings, it made an evil hiss. And then the band of demons joined in, it sounded something like this. When the devil finished, Johnny said, you know, you're pretty good, old son, but you just park it in that chair right there and let me show you how this stuff's done. Bound the man, run, boys, run. Devil's in the house of the rising sun. Chicken in the bread pan, picking out dough. Man, this is all about no China. He went and laid that golden fiddle down on the ground at Johnny's feet. Johnny said, devil, you should come on back if you ever want to try again. I done told you once, you son of a gun, I'm the best that's ever been. He said, run, boys, run. Just in the house of the rising sun. Chicken and red pan picking out dough. Man, you should all bang what y'all know.
We are not interested in the Federal Reserve selling us economic catastrophe, the same way they sell us cars. Besides, Jerome Powell is about to default on a commercial lien. We are in transition as we move from fake to real. We, the people, use the common law instead of the maritime law that the bankers have been using. We, the people, have reclaimed the world's legal systems by using the common law. Speaking of common law, commercial liens, Ken Aforo-Atta, the chair of the World Bank IMF Development Committee, has already defaulted on a commercial lien. On the day that I wrote the teleprompter for this segment, my letter to Ghana's ambassador in Washington was delivered. This letter is also attached to the teleprompter. And Son Sharohas 1 said, as you already know, we are stuck in a pattern of repetitions until the Black Nobility understand that they're not going to win this fight. What's the fight? It's about the world's wealth. In 2014, one of the viewers on the Wake Up America show tweeted, Karen is live right now. She's perhaps the most important whistleblower humanity has ever known. Please listen in. It was in 2014 that someone tried to intimidate me with directed energy weapons that moved my arms, even though I tried with all my strength to fight being moved around. These weapons are used silently to influence you. When you know about these weapons, you can learn how to fight them. What are directed energy weapons? Directed energy weapons, also called scalar weapons, and extremely low-frequency electromagnetic weapons, are used all the time. You need to understand gravity and the world's weather systems to understand these weapons. There are a lot of patents on these weapons, which are used on civilians all over the world. Is there a one world order? Nope. There is clearly no one world order, and there will never be a one world order. This is an important question someone asked following a viral tweet. Third Dog follows Son Sharohas. Son Sharohas has retweeted the script to a DCTV video that answers the question about world debt. World debt is how we are winding down the banking cartel. The bankers owe us $2 quadrillion. That's more than all of the national debt. After we've ended the corruption in the world's money and wound down the banking cartel, we can all decide what to do about individual debt. Why do we tackle individual debt after world debt? So that we don't get tangled up in divide and conquer and forget to wind down the corrupt banking cartel. And if you look in the teleprompter on page 4, you'll see on the February 5th DCTV segment called Where We Left Off about scalar weapons which are used to punish me for the world's gold, when I got the Superior General of the Society of Jesus mad at me. Let's talk about the $2 quadrillion in Treaty of Versailles bonds that were issued by the Federal Reserve in the 1930s in exchange for gold. The interest on the bonds, compounding exponentially, is sufficient to offset country debt. It's this interest on the debt which goes to the banking cartel that keeps humanity enslaved. Now, I see that I've got about 10 minutes, and so I'll talk to you off the cuff. And that's actually very important because my relationship with you, that is really what's keeping us involved in combating the bankers, because of what that saying, where one goes, all go. If you learn about how our minds are interconnected, we process our thoughts in a collective unconscious. So if one of us is thinking about the banking cartel and understands about the corruption, we all do. And that's exactly the situation. The bankers had hoped that none of us were going to find this out. And you can see through the years, the bankers were telling me a lot of hogwash, and I've just been putting the pieces of the puzzle together along with other people. And we're now in a joint project. And where one goes, we all go. And that's just the whole thing about it. So there's been a change in the reality because we're aware of this corruption. And as we started off this segment, you heard what the bankers themselves said about this. They figured we were too stupid to figure it out. But the fact is, if we all work together, then we can figure out a lot. And you'll also see that there are a lot of unanswered questions. The point about it is we don't have to have all the answers right away, and it would be very unusual if we did. We just simply have to put a bookmark where the unanswered questions are and go back and revisit it. And the most important thing is we have to sequence, because the thing that has kept us under the control of the bankers for all the thousands and thousands of years is because we've been distracted and we've gotten we've gotten sidewinded. We don't need to. What we need to do is we need to sequence and tackle the banking cartel right off the bat. And one of the things that's used to distract us and get us sidetracked is religion. So we don't have to answer all those questions. They're very important questions. And that's one of the things that people were asking me in the comment section in YouTube, which was, if we don't concentrate on that, are we going to lose our way? And the answer is, well, we need to get rid of the corruption, because the corruption is what's dividing us and keeping us from figuring out what's what. And so once we know that we need to focus first on getting rid of the corruption. And get rid of the corruption, it's really not that hard, because we do have the world's wealth. That's the reason that I'm the one that is talking to you now. And believe me, I didn't think I was supposed to be doing that. It's just that if you go back through the records, you'll see through the years that every time I tried to work with somebody else, it turned out that that somebody else was an agent of the banking cartel. And so now you're stuck with me, but I'm definitely not an agent of the banking cartel. And the way you know that is because I'm saying that we shouldn't be distracted, and it's really up to humanity to answer these questions. As long as I don't get in your way, I'm clearly not the banking cartel. And I'm talking about sequencing, which is something that we have to learn how to work together. That's the point. We have to learn how to work together. And there's a track record that shows that that's exactly what we're doing. And for the track record, a very good place to start is looking at the archives in YouTube. And of course the bankers know that, and that's why they broke the links to all the archives, which was really a very silly thing to do, because whenever the bankers break the links, that just signals to us that that's important. So they haven't figured out that they're actually working against themselves. And you wonder why it is that they haven't figured this out. I think it's really because all humanity is one, and probably in their heart of hearts, they realize that they're on our side. Not deliberately, but just because of the way humanity is constructed. And that's when I made that point about we're stuck in a pattern of repetitions until the bankers recognize that they're just, we're all one. Humanity is one. And they have to learn that lesson. And it's obviously taking them a very long time. I've been amazed, actually, how long it takes them, how slow they are to learn. But they ultimately will learn, and so will the rest of us. We'll all learn this together, and in the process, we're going to learn how to work together, and we're also going to learn how to prevent our wealth from being taken away from us. Some people get very impatient. They say, well, we really ought to be moving faster. But I don't think that we've got our systems in place. And I'm not sure how long it's going to take us to get our systems in place. It certainly seems to be taking us a very long time to learn about scalar weaponry. I've been talking about this now for over a year. And it's only now that if you look in the comment section in YouTube, you'll see that people are actually aware of this. And there's a lot to learn in the comments section. You'll see in the show that we're going to be pre-taping for next week that there are a lot of unanswered questions. And some of the places to get answers are from people who are making comments and sharing their wisdom. So we're all sorting things through. There's really not that much more to say other than our relationship really does matter. And the reason that we have this wealth is because of the proclamation and declaration of love, which is what Jose Rizal, who is the one who deposited this wealth in the World Bank, called it. So we're learning about how human beings love one another. And that's one of the things that we're going to be learning from each other. The United States military is with us, with our gold, and the United States Constitution of 1789. We, humanity, are in charge of the world's wealth, and not the insolvent, that means bankrupt, banking cartel. I'm here to work together with everyone, using the world's wealth to clean up our money system so that we can tackle the misinformation together. And I signed that as Acting General Counsel and Overseer Mandate Trustee of the Global Debt Facility.